Ceiling fans twirl in slow synchronization, and pale fluorescent bulbs light the human forms on the floor below. The dancer's synchronization is slow and mechanical too, punctuated by the odd twitching of an elbow or a neck. Bare feet skitter across the black floor. Mirrored walls reflect the musculature of bodies seemingly possessed. Ominous music swells from the stereo, and this rehearsal studio at the Morton Street Dance Center may as well be the set of a David Cronenberg horror movie. The mind behind this work of menace in motion is Full Circle Dance Company member Teresa D'Angelo. She says her choreography is inspired by an Edgar Allan Poe short story.
I'll give you a hint, it's not The Raven. It's based on another one of his short stories that's not so familiar. It's called The Imp of the Perverse, and it's basically the question of what drives man to do something wrong.
Specifically, to commit murder. In Poe's story, the narrator gets away with his clever crime. He inherits his victim's riches, and he enjoys the spoils of his evil deed unprosecuted, until he's stricken by an irresistible urge to confess his sin. He spills his secret and ends up dangling from a hangman's rope. In D'Angelo's choreography, we see the villain's conscience rise up against him. It devours him from the inside. Dancers desperately swipe imaginary insects from their arms. They kick the knees out from underneath one another. They become their own worst enemies until they succeed in a sort of mutual extinction.
I tend to choreograph things that are a little bit more thought-driven and kind of on the angry side. I'm not very lighthearted when it comes to my choreography, so this dark story, and it's based actually, it's not just any man, it's a guy that ends up murdering somebody, and he contemplates beforehand and afterwards this whole murder. So to me, it's that thought process, that what drives that person, that really intrigued me, and then how can I really make that come to life on stage so that people feel kind of creeped out, they're not quite sure what's going on, and then at the end feel pushed over the edge. 1, 2, down, 3, up, 4, swing, 5, 6, 7, 8.
Choreography as composition. D'Angelo has created a sequence of movements. The story is there. But like a good writer, she studies her creation with a critical eye. She knows its power is in the details, and her patient dancers endure her fine-tuning and retuning of their slightest movements.
And the swing happens with the arm. Our editing process is more continuing to repeat the movement until it gets to a synchronicity so that it's a performance value from the dancers. So I'd say it's pretty similar.
Did you ever, in the process, experience the equivalent of writer's block?
Oh, certainly. It's the process can be difficult at times. There are days where I wake up and I feel very creative. I can come up with movements. Any piece of music that I hear, I can do a movement to. And then there are other days where I just feel, well, what you describe as a writer's block, but to me it's just a mental block for movement. And I get to a point where I start to try to take inspiration from even simplistic, just everyday movement around me in order to get back onto that creative track. Now the jump. Parallel both feet down, but you're moving backwards.
Hi, I'm Donna Jacobs. I'm the artistic director of Full Circle Dance Company, which is housed at the Morton Street Dance Center, which I'm also the director for and have been for 20 years. Full Circle is 12 years old now. It grew out of a number of our teachers at the school who needed and wanted desperately more opportunities to perform and have been doing so for a long time. Everyone in the company, virtually everyone, has at least a bachelor's degree in dance and some master's degrees in dance, with, in most cases, a degree in something else.
And they all have an ongoing intellectual curiosity that sort of feeds the content of your choreography.
Well, that's precisely right. And when I mentioned the degrees in something else, it does raise a level of curiosity and inquisitiveness about the world. And it makes us think in ways that want to incorporate dance and some intellectual endeavor, often out of their own curiosity, but mostly to engage audiences. Many times people will say, and I say it jokingly, I don't understand modern dance. So we want to give you two levels. You can grasp it on an intellectual level. What is the concept that is being portrayed here? And art is truly in the eye of the beholder. What is it that I see that is of interest to me and of intellectual import to me? Or what is it that I see simply visually? I see beautiful movement and I can take it at that level and enjoy it at that level. Or you can do both.
On the surface, Angelica Danielli's choreography can be admired for its acrobatics. Pairs of dancers build tandem forms that rely on intricate counterbalancing. Danielli is in her 4th season with Full Circle. This is the first piece of choreography she's done with the company.
What I hope people get out of this piece is the importance of relying on another person, of being able to rely on another person, of being able to take somebody else's burdens, their weight. So I hope those are the concepts that people take from it.
These are universal themes, but for Danielli they come from personal experience. Her choreography is wrought with cryptic images. Lines of dancers move robotically, feeling for their own pulses and heartbeats, like so many cyborgs trying to guess whether or not they're human. They fall clumsily into each other's arms, seeking to learn the definition of earthly intimacy.
This piece is actually based on an autobiographical work that I wrote myself. It was about an experience I had with somebody who was a gambling addict. I wrote it during my recovery process. It was just a way to kind of get it all out because I hadn't really talked to anybody about it. I wrote out the whole story from top to bottom, and I concluded that story with my journey in finding my current love of my life, and how he kind of helped me get back on my feet.
Over the years, the company members at Full Circle have earned a reputation for tackling thorny material head-on. Director Donna Jacobs says in the past, performances have explored themes like race, religion, and motherhood.
Some of those have been very difficult and very emotionally wrenching. Well, this year, the concert is about words. It's about dances that are inspired by writings, and they can be many things. They are, in one instance, a Shakespearean inspiration, and another Poe, in another writings that we see now that are different because they come across the web, and so that's something different. And then there are some poems in there that have inspired some of the work that we'll display.
What you're doing, it seems to me, is creating your own modern mini ballets. Isn't that what a ballet is?
A ballet is a story, exactly. Now you can think of it in terms of the technical steps, and you call them ballet. But once you tell a story, what you've created is a ballet.
My name is Jennifer Say, and I am choreographing Sonnet 18. It's by William Shakespeare, his most famous sonnet. He's basically taking this person that he believes to be the most beautiful person that he's ever seen, and he's trying to find something just as beautiful to compare to so that people can understand how beautiful this person is. And he picks nature. And as he starts his comparison in nature, he comes to this realization that naturalistic things have a tendency to wither and to eventually die.
Choreographer Say has a flair for the theatrical. Her primary dancer sits on a chair, absorbed in the pages of her book. Soon, she's lifted into the dream world of the poetry itself, literally hoisted in the air by 4 muses.
So the piece, as you're viewing it, starts with seeing the reader looking at a bunch of books and stumbling upon the sonnet, and then imagining themselves as this most beautiful person within the work. And so the piece develops in this sort of story time type of deal where you have the real life reader against the fantasy ensemble behind them. And as they're reading and they're fully understanding the work and they're imagining themselves as this beautiful person, they realize at some point I'm not going to be beautiful and I myself am going to die as well.
Our dancer finds herself face to face with her own mortality. She kneels in a scattering of rose petals on the floor, and she winces as the fantasy figures of her imagination circle around her. They hold books in their hands, then clap them shut with harsh finality. The rush of air blows the derelict flower petals across the floor. This piece is an interesting anomaly in the Moving Passages series, because it's not so much about a text as it is about the power of writing to move a reader. It appears that Shakespeare's Sonnet 18 has hit choreographer Jennifer Say as something of a personal epiphany, and she's still trying to wrap her mind around its significance.
At some point, you just completely fade to exist. And so it makes this sana like so much more powerful in the terms of thinking about myself in the present, living day to day, and as opposed to just going through routines, etc. It's really a powerful statement.
You've discovered the profound existential despair at the heart of one of Shakespeare's most romantic sonnets.
Yes.
5, 6, 7, 8.
What these choreographers are doing here at Full Circle is struggling to relate the essence of an experience. And that's exactly what a writer's job is, too. Director Donna Jacobs says whether you're writing or dancing, you need a purpose and a structure.
What is the mood that I need to set if it's a piece of writing that is ultimately going to be read aloud, which is the same thing you do with dance? What is the mood? Where do you want to leave your audience at the end? What is it that they need to convey? What are the 2 or 3 things you need them to walk away with? And those may be the themes. When you write, you need a theme. You need a beginning sentence, you need a middle sentence, you need an end. You need a good beginning paragraph, you need an end. Audiences remember your beginning and your end, and you've got to fill in the middle.
And it seems to me that a lot of the terms that you use when you're describing writing are terms that can be used when you're describing dance. Pacing, punctuation, tone. I mean, these are things that are inherent to all forms of expression, I guess.
You know, I'd say you're really pretty good at this. That's exactly right. How do you punctuate your work? Is it a leap? Is it a jump? Is it a collapse? What is it? It's the same kind of thinking if you are speaking as well. And what is the written word? Something that you could stand up and say, right? How do you end it? How do you express it? How do you vary it? How do you change its tone? It's the same thing we do in dance. Are you standing through the movement? Is it slow? Does the movement start out fast and then decelerate in tempo? Is it winding? Are there shapes?
Repetition.
Repetition. Accumulation is a term that we use in dance. You take one step, you build the next. And it's wonderful to see the juxtaposition of the two. When you have dancers and writers in one room together, which we've done before, I think we feed off of one another and we enjoy it. Same thing with musicians. We feed off of one another and we enjoy that exchange.
Donna Jacobs is director of the Full Circle Dance Company at the Morton Street Dance Center. The company includes
Angelica Daniele,
Jennifer Say.
Allison Powell,
Teresa D'Angelo.
Amanda Rosenbaum,
Rachel Geiger, Stacy Romano,
Hope Byers, Kakuti Lin,
Crystal Henry,
Willis Brandon,
Avalon Bob,
Liz Pelton.
Full Circle's upcoming concert of dances inspired by writing is called Moving Passages, and it's going to be happening October 4th, 6th, and 7th at Baltimore's Theater Project. The address, 45 West Preston Street,